Who's the right leader for our country? Kamala Harris, who has spent decades putting criminals behind bars, or Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who get up every single morning, run to the nearest camera, and whine how they're being treated unfairly?
I don't think he could be any more right than he is, Tim Walz, right there. But the weird thing is that there are millions of Americans, maybe tens of millions of Americans, that don't seem to have any problem whatsoever with the constant 24/7 whininess of Donald Trump and JD Vance. Everything's so unfair to them. The political system's unfair. The media's unfair. Joe Biden dropped out and that's unfair. And when they should be focusing on the issues facing literally millions and millions of workers, of regular Americans, they instead are hyper-focused on their own issues. Here's the thing though, I think Tim Walz has an appeal and an ability to deliver a message that could appeal to even some of those Republicans. Here's an example.
This guy has made it clear how he stands. He's sitting down at Mar-a-Lago after he got elected president, and this was his exact quote. He's talking to a bunch of folks at Mar-a-Lago. You're rich as hell, and we're gonna give you a tax cut. At the same time, he was telling workers they get paid too much already. That's who this guy is. You tell me who in Wisconsin is sitting around saying, damn, I wish they'd give billionaires tax cuts and screw me over. Damn, I wish they'd take my health care away. I wish they'd underfund my public school. I wish they would make my job more difficult and more dangerous. And then at the end of the day, I wish they'd make me work till I'm 75 years old. No one's saying that. No one's asking for that agenda. What they're asking for is to be treated fairly with dignity. That's what we have.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the only issue is that basically no Republican, no MAGA person is sitting there and saying those things, but they are accepting those things. They're accepting everything that Tim Walz expertly laid out right there. They accept politicians that go into those back rooms with executives and CEOs and promise to give them massive tax breaks. I mean, they've lived through multiple Republican presidencies where just trillions of dollars go out the door to the richest people in the world so they can have a bigger vault of gold coins to dive into. Money they can never spend, will never spend, but it's really nice to have it because we're measuring stuff against each other after all. The thing about it is they don't think that, they don't say that, but they accept it because that's not the thing about their politicians that they like. That's what their politicians are doing. That's what their politicians are there to do. But the workers are thinking about like trans swimmers or something, or a book that they've never read that a kid maybe could read in a library. And when they could be focusing on policy that actually impacts their life, sort of sets the bounds of how much economic dignity they will be allowed to have, they instead are squirreling off to one or another bit of identity politics and culture war nonsense. That's why the right-wing media, whether it's on Fox News, OAN, or whatever, the independent ones, always focus on this stuff. It's really helpful if you're a billionaire to have your potential voters so focused on the fact that, I don't know, a Venezuelan gang has taken over an apartment complex, even though they haven't, or they've taken over a Walmart, even though they haven't. But I read Elon Musk said that they did on Twitter, so I guess I should vote for the people who are gonna give tax cuts to billionaires. And that's unfortunately what's going on. But I do think that to the extent that any Democrat can try to break through to those people, I think Tim Walz, both in terms of the topics he focuses on, his rhetoric, and his life story, has about the best chance possible of doing that. And that said, I want to focus a little bit more on the economic policy, some of the differences between the GOP and the Democrats with Walz's next section.
Trump and Vance, when they talk about freedom, means government should have the freedom to invade every corner of our life. They talk about small government, small enough to be in your bedroom, small enough to be in your exam room, small enough to be in your library, telling you the things that you should make decisions about. So let's be very clear. Where I come from and where you come from as neighbors, we respect differences. That's your opinion. But on things like healthcare and what books I read and democracy, we all live by that very simple golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Mind your own business.
But there's just something about the way that Walz communicates that I think can break through to a lot of people. Regular Democrats love it. I think that more progressive Democrats like it, that it feels like sort of a variation on the Bernie Sanders model, but maybe even a little bit better calibrated for a lot of sort of like, not to be offensive, normies in politics to find appealing. And I think a lot of Republicans also. Having a guy like this that's fighting for you and advocating for the government to actually do something for regular Americans is certainly novel, and I like to see it. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.